Greetings. Let's take a walk through Sheboygan. I am Malcolm Kingley, your guide to the higher dimensions, in case you haven't discerned that yet. Not that I know anything you don't. I'm just your guide to within yourself, where you've already known and you've already demonstrated, and now you're simply becoming. In fact, that's one of the most important words, especially when it comes to transformation, is it's in the becoming. The becoming. Not even necessarily in the finished product. It's in the becoming of it. Think about what I just said. In the natural, everybody has a sexual thought like every 15 seconds because they want to be becoming. But here's the deal. If you want to be in the becoming, it's all about the bliss of spiritual ecstasy within yourself. That's the truth that you're seeking. So in the counterfeit, the natural, the man of flesh is always seeking after the counterfeit. He wants to be looking for the union of souls merging through the natural and bringing about the chemical arousal within the body. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, because who doesn't enjoy that? Who doesn't enjoy intimate connection as much as you would enjoy, eating a good steak dinner, right? If you like steak. So the idea here, though, is really basic, but it's also the most advanced idea ever, which is what everything really is. You want to be in the becoming, and that is the transcendent nature of oneness with your higher self. And then you want to maintain that all day, every day, to the best of your ability. That's what praying without ceasing means. The type of prayer that most people engage with is supplicant in its nature, where it's a petition to move the divine counsel, as if you're standing before a judge and trying to move the judge to make the decision, when in reality, the decision's already been made. God judged his entire creation, considered it good, and you're in it. So you've already been judged. And within that judgment, it means that the outcome already happened. Putting that together with simple logic, you'd say, if you came with a money problem, it means that, well, you couldn't have that because you've already been judged, and it's already been ordered. It's already established. The fact of the matter is, you are prosperous, abundant, rich. If you came with a health condition, the natural man says, please, God, help me, set me free. And God can understand, obviously, and respond in a way that brings about truth, and then the truth itself establishes its own report. But once you know the truth, it's a lot easier to just go to the truth in the recognition that it is already established. And a lot of the faith healers will call that taking by faith what you're claiming. An example of that was, and I'll give you a little prelude into where I'm going with today's transmission, the greatest secret of personal transformation that nobody told you. It really is. It's so cool, so simple, so effective. So a few days ago, I was on day 3 after having my entire mouth ripped out and having to reestablish my whole structure. And obviously I had to be put under for that because it's quite the operation. So I was in one of those medically induced comas that they call anesthesia for 4 hours for the surgery. And when I came to, the first thing that happened was the initial onset is you don't remember anything. When you're under, you don't remember anything because that's what the drugs are for. The propofol causes amnesia during the process of when you're going through the procedure. But by day 3, the body memory is still running its body code process. And so the swelling was severe. My face looked so funny that my kids couldn't stop laughing. We got a joke out of it. I looked like a squirrel or some sort of like a chipmunk. Just ginormous cheeks, Everything was just poof. And the pain was something that, I was using the pain meds by that time. I was like thinking in my mind, there's no way I'm not going to use the pain meds because this is off the chain. So I was taking the pain meds every couple hours and I still had the sensation of pain and swelling. And that's when I thought, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to rest on mind as the curative principle, just as divine law would say. And it doesn't matter that up until that point that I was mixing matter with spirit, right? Because that's one of the things that the Christian scientists will tell you, that you cannot get a demonstration if you mix matter with spirit, because you're diluting the curative principle. And I don't think that's true. I think what is true is what happens in your heart and where you're giving the power to in your heart. And the example of that is, if God can't heal you just because you're using a pain medication, it renders God powerless in the face of a pain medication. See how much of a lie that is? So the truth is who was I putting in charge of this healing? Where did my heart go in terms of every step of this healing? And I put the entire process on God, Spirit. Guide me, lead me, walk me through. And Spirit can use anything. There's no more real me in the mouth that I used to have versus the mouth that I have now. It's like when you cut your fingernails and you look at all the matter that you cut off. Are you separated from yourself because you just lost some of your matter? No, not at all. All right, I hope you caught what I'm saying, okay? I'm going to simplify this real quick for you. Hey, little commercial break here. Listen, you want to change your life super fast? Nothing can get it done faster than programming your unconscious mind. The best way that I've ever found out how to do this is through music, creating an earworm. Example, a song you can't get out of your head. So the way that it works is you take your favorite style of music in the inspiration of your favorite artist. I'll show you an example here, just hang on. And then you embed it with the programming and the truth that you want to put in there. It's like baking the perfect recipe. And then you blend it together in the emotional feel that makes you move, because that's what a muse is. It moves you from one dimension to another. Every time I've done this, I have created and lived in the seasons that I have made my music to portray. So I'm going to let you listen to an example of the theme song I wrote for the New Identity here, this Malcolm Kingley guy. And I want you to understand that you can have the same thing. So I'm offering the ultra custom. Now, I've made hundreds of these songs. I consider myself an expert at mixing and mastering the levels and everything. Go ahead, take the song I want to play you, play it at the full levels in your car, and notice how the impeccable mastering of it comes out in the exact way that most of the top artists do today. So here's the deal. You create the song. It gets stuck in your head. You start to sing along to it.
Well, when it says sing him a new song, what do you think that means? Who's him? It's within you. You become the music. Check this out. Get a hold of me at the link below if you want to do this for yourself. I have 3 different tiers I can offer. I can create you the most awesome, epic, ultra bespoke, customized song for you and your life transformation. It is the most powerful thing I've ever discovered, and I've been doing it since 2015. I've literally written hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of songs. And with the AI, I can create ultra custom, mix and mastered. It'll be your art to your specs, the way that you need it to make your life transformation. This is massive power.
Let me backtrack and digress so you caught the point. The old healing model says this. Now I'm talking the old Christian Science-like healing model. Oh, you can't touch matter, or we can't pray for you. Why not? Because you just dabbled with error. So error is stronger than God, is what you're saying. No, it's that you're giving your power to a false god. That's what they'll say. And I say, but what if I turned to Spirit and Spirit told me to use this? They'd say, well, that's never the case. And I'd say, okay, well, the next time you're hungry, then I don't want you to eat anything. I want you to turn to Spirit and know that the true satisfaction are spiritual ideas, and then I'm going to eat a steak in front of you. And I want you to keep doing that forever, because Spirit is your only source. And you see how this becomes dogmatic, and it becomes an idiocracy on top of itself. To say that you don't use the things that you call material makes you foolish, because you're wearing clothes, you're walking on a material substance, and see, matter is not what you're looking at, it's how you're looking at it. So the way that I've discovered is it's all about where your intention and your heart is. So if your intention and your heart is to go within yourself and to ask your higher self, which path should I go? Which means should I use? Then you have rested on the curative principle of Spirit. And therefore, whatever comes as the peaceful, natural unfoldment from there is governed and ordained by principle and delivered to you. And it meets you at your present level of understanding. And that brings about harmony and coherence. Versus the opposite is you get this phenomenon where many people try to outperform the actual level of faith in the process that they possess. And the crudest example are these preachers in other countries. I've seen a lot of them in other countries where they go and get a venomous snake, and then they get in front of the room and they're like, well, no deadly weapon shall form against me shall prosper. And they let the snake bite them and then they die. Right in front of the congregation, they sit there and die. And maybe it's because they saw my former mentor, she's transitioned now. Maybe they saw Lona, and Lona got bit by a deadly scorpion, and she prayed and survived, and she had no fear regarding the whole process. She knew she'd survive. But see, that's where her level of faith was. Her level of trust was there. And so she was operating from the present level of trust that she had, and she consulted within herself to get the answers. So the first principal idea here is consult within yourself. That's what resting on the curative principle is. Trust your higher self. The way to do it is to go into meditation and to connect with your higher self, to come into unity with your full potential that knows the outcome from the level of consciousness of being already receiving the outcome. Now, years ago, I created a technique that I still use, and it's the most amazing technique, and it's one I'll use to constantly go back and do this process. It's called the ABC break process. Hey, how are you? And so the ABC break process, I see that, is about shifting consciousness to the
solution consciousness and then letting it appear from there. Not trying to get there, but dropping in from the top, already having done it. So I will take you through an example of that right now, because you might be watching me for the first time, and I've had a couple requests to reteach this. So I'm going to give you the ABC break process, and I'm going to show you how supremely awesome and powerful it is. And then the prescription I'll write for you as your divine law doctor, right, is to send you to do it 5 times a day. Now, I say that loosely. Don't be miscrediting me and say, he said he was a doctor. No. If you got something wrong with you, you need to consult with your actual doctor probably, and not come to somebody who teaches divine law. Spiritually speaking, I'm a minister. But I will minister to you right now, and I'll teach you how to change your consciousness, which is the most powerful thing you can do anyway. So the first thing is you tune into the problem. It's a thought field. That's easy to do. It's staring at you all day long. It's screaming at you, especially if it's physical. It's pain or whatever. It's coming at you. You know it's there. The next thing you do is you snap your fingers and say, it is not it. Malcolm, what do you mean it's not it? Well, the thought you were about to think about it. Don't engage your mind to try to figure out a problem that it is creating. The human mind is creating the problem. The human mind is not going to solve the problem because it exists at the level of the problem, and it exists within the problem. And to remove the problem would be to remove its very existence, because when you change consciousness, you're no longer the same beingness, which means that frame of reference and that personality is in a different universe, and you're leaving it behind. You're literally stepping into a parallel universe and maintaining the integrity of that being and walking right into a new parallel path. That's how reality actually works. It looks like this is the same continuity of yesterday and today, and because of time, I healed. That's not true. That's what your human mind sees. Your human mind sees space-time, and it sees objects in motion in time and space, and it tries to put together law, right? Continuity of evidence, and says, well, it's because I sat around for 3 days and I'm healed. That's what they told me. No, they actually hypnotized you into believing that that's what's going to happen. And because you didn't immediately reject it, it became the law of your governing unconscious mind. Now, this stuff is so powerful and so deep. I'm glad you're staying with me because I got so much to share for you. But most importantly, if you can put up with me, okay, now I know I segued out of the technique, just chill. If you can put up with me, I build tools that make this all razor sharp, super friendly, and ultimately the most powerful healing tools on the planet, okay? And I say that with humility because I've had to demonstrate it through my own experiences so many times. But I have never met anybody on this planet, never, that develops the type of tools that I make available for free that you can use to transform and heal yourself. And they're built on the precipice of the greatest healing minds of all time, starting from the original principle of Jesus the Christ. And you see, they don't stray from those teachings. They don't stray away and get lost in the confusion. I maintain the integrity of the principle, and I put it in a way that you can learn it and master it faster than anyone around you. And you can use it for your finances, your health, your relationships. There's no limit to it because it's all consciousness. All right. Now you're like, Malcolm, you're all over the map. I was in the middle of a healing tool, then you segued off into this, you segued off into that. Where are you going to go next? Now, everything I'm doing actually is laying out tracks exactly where I want them in your consciousness right now. I'm taking you like through a Pulp Fiction movie where I'm jumping around between the scenes. But all the scenes are still intact and they're all still going in continuity of evidence. I needed to show you that parallel universes is the fact, because without understanding that, you'll never understand why the ABC break process is as effective as it is. because you don't live in a linear timeline world. You live in a multi-dimensional reality of realms that you're passing through. You are the pure awareness, the consciousness in meditation itself, and you are passing through realms of energy and information. And as you change the energy and information within your atomic structure through your own attitude toward life and your own reflection on a divine principle, you align with that corresponding frequency. And just like radio stations that change channels, different frequencies, different songs come out. You change frequencies and all of a sudden different reality pictures come out. And because your interpretations are the governing key that determine how this goes for you, you wield the fulcrum of balance and power through your interpretation analysis. Let that set in for a minute. Interpretation analysis. So what I'm saying to you is, and yes, we're going to get back to the technique here shortly. I'm going to start from the top. I just wanted you to say it is not it. Just stop your mind for a second. Do it again. It is not it. Just stop your mind. Your mind is lying to you all day, every day. It's not even your mind. It's the human mind trying to impress itself on you. It's not yours. It's impersonal. In fact, all it's doing is it's feeding you data from the collective consciousness. They're not even your thoughts. They're thoughts from an impression memory of a parallel universe that you're leaving anyway. So who cares what the thought is that's going to come next? Because you're not even going to be the same person in that universe, nor would you want to be. Because that person was making interpretations based on false assumptions and leading themselves into a circular nowhereness, going around in circles, getting nowhere. Because that's what the human mind is designed to do. It's designed to keep the status quo. So, if you understand what the principle behind the human mind is, it doesn't have a principle, but if it did, the principle is to keep you stuck. Because that's where it exists. And it needs you to exist. It's a parasite. It's like, stay right here, dude. Like, yeah, keep asking me. You come to me, you got a problem, you come to me. You come to me and I'll tell you what to do, okay? And you keep going to it and you're like, hey, I got this problem. And it's like, yeah, you're right, you do. Because you're a sorry POS and you're always going to have this problem. And you're like, wait a minute. I was coming to you for encouragement and now you're beating me up. And it's like, no, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. You'll never amount to anything, but let me show you the answer. And then it gives you an answer. And you're like, but it doesn't work. And it's like, hey, forget about it. Just do it because I told you to do it. And then you keep going back to that same personality every single day. And you're like, I need the answer. I can't get out of my problem. It just keeps going on and on and on. And it says, I told you. Don't worry about it. Just come to me. And it's like, listen, now this time you're going to do this. And then you go and do that, and that doesn't work either. And you've done that 1,000,000 times. And finally, you're sobering up, and you're like, wait a minute. Every time I go to this dude, he beats me up. He belittles me. Doubts every idea that I want to do because I feel inspiration coming from within my soul. And then he rips me apart and sends me off on a false track. And then I end up getting nowhere. And then he beats me up all over again because I got nowhere. This thing is a loser. Thank you. The human mind is a loser. And it specializes in losing. Because all it wants to do is brood over the negative. And the actual purpose of that mind is to remember and celebrate with gratitude the good that has been received already. So what actually happened is that the human mind has been misused for so many eons that the passing down through generations of how to use your mind in the wrong way so it messes up your entire life is status quo. So now what you have is generation upon generation of people using the mind in the wrong way. And then they call that normal. And then along comes somebody like me, Malcolm, and says, hey, everything you're doing is normal to you, but isn't it really ineffective? Has it ever worked? Wait, why do you keep doing it then? Why don't you question and challenge it? Because they're lazy. Because they're lazy. Mental laziness is the greatest disease on the planet. Laziness. Absolute laziness. So, back to the technique. Without using this technique, the default setting that you've been trained on through the public fool system and all of the institutions that taught you that to question their authority is wrong, and that when they tell you something is true, you will get applause and celebration by regurgitating that same nonsense, because if you don't, everybody will mock you and ridicule you, and therefore they used ostracism, which is the highest form of punishment, as their tool to confine you into their deceptive control grid. The God, the deity within you, never needed them. In fact, the deity within you should have rebelled against them from day one and said, I don't want to go to school. Why should I go there? All they do is yell at me. They tell me what to do. All they want to do is try to make me conform to them. Exactly. That's the purpose of it. That's always been the purpose. So all these people are like, I got all A's. I'm so proud of my little Johnny. He's going to be so successful in life. He's going to be exactly what they molded him to be. Just because he does it better than the others in the class doesn't mean he's going anywhere they don't want him to go. He's going to be confounded to the same boxing, which means the four-corner law, which means in the illusion. Johnny's going to live in the illusion. He's going to be a champion of illusions, which means that Johnny is going to be on the recycled, regurgitated path of churning out lifetime after lifetime in the karmic cycle of birth and death, and being an essential but ultimately useless cog in the matrix. An NPC. Just a higher educated NPC, you could say. I know, truth sucks, because everybody that's championed all these things and they've done all this and they made their life's work about conforming and versus courage, they've took the conforming path and turned it into their religion and, gotten the social approval from it, and they get the dopamine fix through their brain, and then everybody, loves them because they're just like each other and their similarity brings comfort. The thing they forgot is that your difference is your prosperity. Your difference is your prosperity. And prosperity means the demonstration of God's miracles. Yes, money miracles, but also relationship and also health and also every good thing that is within the kingdom within yourself. See, the Christ within you is a miracle-producing being that is the real you, that is standing by, ready to serve, ready to deliver every single miracle that you can imagine under the sun as a natural function and order of doing business as the Christ. So when you start doing business as the Christ, it becomes, well, which miracle am I going to experience today? It's going to be another joyful day because miracles are everywhere. So back to day 3, right? I said, hey, listen, the reason why I'm going through all this is because I didn't challenge what they told me. They told me on the onset, oh, this is what's going to happen. We're going to put you under. It's going to be brutal for a few days, and you're probably going to have the worst day on day 3, and then it'll get better, and, by day 7, whatever, right? They started saying all this stuff, right? And at the time, I didn't challenge it. So when somebody sends you, that's what's called the evil eye, by the way. That's called sorcery. That's the evil eye. So when somebody aims a prophecy at you, you see how that's a prophecy? Just because it's coming from a so-called authority and because they've seen 1,001 cases that look like it, doesn't mean it's true for you unless you accept it. And because I didn't challenge it, I had to then rebuke it later. And that takes more work. So let me get into that, and we'll talk about that through the ABC break process. Okay, so now that I've shared with you a couple key things that you have to understand. The first thing is that
when people speak, those are spells. That's called spell casting. When you speak, it's called prophecy. And when somebody speaks over your life, as in, this is what we expect and you accept it, that's called hypnosis. And they are putting you into that hypnotic spell because the unconscious mind takes it and it turns it into its translated phenomenon through the time-space holographic universe of your human life. It's just energy and information at the end of the day, and it's all code in a binary system because this is just a simulated human experience. And so with the ABC break process, you can hack the simulated experience and you can re-engineer it through consciousness and have it the way you want it to be. So with that said, it's day 3 and I'm just like, I go, okay, what happened here? And then I'm like, oh, I never challenged what they said. I just ignorantly and blindly listened to that person and let it slide in versus shutting the door instantly and making my own prophecy over it. Okay, so now I got to deal with it. So then I started to go into the ABC. It is not it. I looked at that horrendously face bulging experience that I saw with the pain off the Richter scale, and I said, this is not it. And then I went into spiritual consciousness. So with that, what it means is first you go to a place of peace. After you say it is not it, you go to a place of peace. Imagine yourself being a soul resting in your place of peace. The reason why is because peace, they called Christ the Prince of Peace. Peace is not a thing that humans possess. Peace is the fertile ground of vibrational alignment. You go to vibrational alignment with Source. That's what peace actually is. And you use your imagining faculty because it activates the right brain, triggering the theta brainwave, taking you back to the childlike, innocent brainwave state that you once possessed, and allowing yourself to merge in consciousness and bleed between the worlds in the imaginary dreamlike state of theta. And peace is the crucible. You must be in peace. Rest in peace means to be dead to the world and alive in spirit. So when all of your homies die and they're all parked 6 feet under at the boneyard, what happens is they say, oh, Mary's sitting in the boneyard and, she's dead there. And, we go there and visit every now and then. So you're telling me that she's resting in peace right now, right? Well, yes. Well, where do you go when you rest in peace? Well, Mary was going to heaven. Oh, so you go to heaven when you rest in peace. Oh, so they told you that and then they counterfeited a human story and told you that you had to physically die to go to heaven. No, what they really meant, because they always have to use the dialectic doublespeak, is they have to tell you the truth in plain sight so the human mind grabs onto the lie and believes the lie. So the truth in plain sight is that you have to rest in peace to go to heaven, and heaven is not your death burial of your tomb that you're walking in now, which is material consciousness. It is the resurrection and the life. I am the resurrection and the life. It means that you are in heaven now because you're resting in peace. Heaven now, rest in peace. Heaven now, rest in peace. Heaven now. Jesus said, it's at hand. Because it is. I am the resurrection and the life. Just say that right now. Be in your place of peace. So you stepped out of your lying, doubting Thomas mind by saying, it is not it. And you jumped into resting in peace, which is vibrational alignment with heaven. Now you are in coherence with the bridal chamber. And the bridal chamber is how you transcend the material dream into infinite worlds appearing and disappearing in vast expanse of consciousness, like motes of dust dancing in a beam of light, into my Father's many mansions, into the solution now. So now you activate, I believe it's Mark 11, where you're talking about, believe that you have already received, and therefore it shall be done unto you. So here's what you're going to do. To believe that you already have received is the fact that right now you are a spiritual being in heaven, already being the solution to that very so-called problem that you thought you had as a human being. You just died and went to heaven. You died to the flesh and you were born in spirit, and you just went to heaven in peace, in consciousness. Now you are going to believe that you have already received. So what I say is, imagine that you've already had it for the past 3 years and that you're looking back on it, experiencing all the joy that you felt in the process of becoming. Becoming. This is our key word for today, becoming. I want to becoming. Becoming. Yeah, not in the physical sense. In the spiritual sense, because bliss, when you reach bliss, the prayer is done. So, I was. Let me recap for your framework of reference. I looked at the face. It was like, and I felt it. I'm like, oh, it hurts so bad. And I said, it is not it. I closed my eyes. I relaxed my body in a meditation. I breathe. Box breathing in through the nose 4 seconds. Hold it 4 seconds. Out 4 seconds. Hold it. Breathe. Relax. Box breathing. Alpha brain waves. Repeat after me. Box breathing. Alpha brain waves. Then as I flash my eyelids up, my eyes go up behind my eyelids closed. Watch this. See this? My eyes closed. Eyelids go up because I'm rising up into the meditative plane. You fire off theta brain waves. Then when you go to a place of peace in your imagination, you're dead to the world and alive in spirit. Repeat after me. Dead to the world, alive in spirit. Romans 8. For the law of the Spirit has set me free from the law of sin and death. The law of sin and death marred my face. It made pain a phenomenon that I couldn't escape. But you see, the law of the Spirit, which means the continuity of evidence in spiritual consciousness, sets me free from the law of sin and death, or what flesh is trying to do to me. Flesh is an empty tomb. Repeat after me. Those who live in flesh are in an empty tomb. They are in a death chamber. That's why when you get up in the morning, you say, good morning, because you're mourning, you're dead. You only mourn when there's loss, because it's a loss of life, because you looked out there. You looked to the centrifugal loss of power. You looked to the 99.99999% empty space, and you said, this is life. No, this is emptiness. Life is all imagination. You left and became adulterated with the great whore of Babylon. You left your spiritual home. I bring you back to your spiritual home. So there I go, back to my spiritual home. I'm resting in peace. And now I just have to believe that I have already received, and it shall be done. So now I'm going into my soul sense, into my imagination of already being perfect and whole, and my face looks just like this. It's back to the way it's supposed to be. And then I sit there and dwell in it. Dwell. Repeat after me. The purpose of the ABC break process is to dwell in the secret place of the Most High. And the law of dwelling states that wherever my consciousness dwells, that's what manifests. And I am, and there is none beside me. Christ is the great I am. Christ is the only living Son. You are the Christ. There is nobody out there. All power is within you. All power. To transcend the entire illusion without fail, as long as you trust and believe that you have already received. So you do that by dwelling. And then what I do is I add the new emotions. So emotions and thoughts, thought capacity and emotional charge have to be redone. That's what conducts and carries the line of force into your life. So let me pause. We're going to keep repeating this so you get this. I'm going to go over it again and again and again and again, and you're going to keep practicing, practicing, and practicing, and you're going to discover that you are the Christ. Yes, you. There is only Christ. There are no mortal creatures. Wake up in your dream, O Adam. You are not a sleeping pile of dust that came into being from an intelligence that mind knows nothing about. Mind is all. Mind is supreme. Matter is its counterfeit illusion. Don't give power to the illusion ever again. That breaks the first commandment. And when you break the first commandment, you fall into sin and you suffer. Just like I did. So here I was. I'm sitting at the doctor and he says, all of your teeth are coming out. And this is how it's going to go. We are going to put you under. And when you come out, it is going to be very painful. And by day 3, it's going to be awful for you. But it will get better. Now, right in that moment, there was a thought that came at me. And what do you think the emotion was? Fear. And because I accepted the fear without rejecting it instantly, it became the law of life. Because the unconscious mind must project the energy and information it is given. You're like a walking kaleidoscope of lines of force. And if you don't take conscious control over them, then you get the default setting, which is slavage in Egypt, bondage, sorcery. I show you the way out within yourself because Christ is the only living manifestation of God. And Christ is the imagination filled with truth. And when you get to that place in your imagination filled with truth, and you dwell in that, and you give all power back to that, and then you refuse to be moved by anything out here, knowing that you never lived out there, you live in consciousness, then spirit, which is that consciousness, forms you anew according to, guess what? The level of consciousness you're at. And you see, that's why you believe that you have already received, and therefore it is done unto you. So the ABC break process, even if you were like I was and you let something slip in without questioning it right away, keep in mind, if you don't stand porter at the door of thought, you're letting this stuff in all the time. So that's why you do the ABC break process 3 to 5 times a day. And you pick the most important issue to work on, the one that gives you the most leverage. And the way that you find that issue is very simple. The mind works in threes, it triads. So you say to yourself right now, before we do the next ABC, because I'm going to take you into the actual one that you need to focus on. Are you ready? Here's how you find the target so that you can get the most leverage. Repeat after me. The most important issue in my life to focus on right now is ... boom. First thought that comes to mind, do not question that thought. Just grab it. Grab it. Don't question yourself, just know. Good. Now that's not the one. The one that you just got is an obsession. The first thought that comes to mind is your obsession. Hold that to the side. It's not going to be the one we're focusing on. Now repeat after me again. Something I believe to be true, but it's a lie. That's the most important thing for me to clear up in my life right now is ... Don't question, just grab it. Even if it's silly, take that thought. Just grab it. Grab whatever comes to mind. I don't care what it was. Stop thinking and just know. Grab it. Okay. Now, that's not it either. That's called fluff. That's emotional filler. Okay? You're going to just recognize that, set it to the side. Now, repeat after me. The next thing that I absolutely need to fix in my life right now is ... Bam! Grab it. Don't question yourself. Just grab it. What came to mind? Now, go ahead and write that one down, because the mind works in threes. The entire universe works in threes. That's your issue. That thing right there is what you need to focus on right now. So, with that said, we're going to do the full ABC break process. Now you're ready for it, and now you're ready to demonstrate. And your prescription is you're going to do it 5 times today. And for the next 3 to 5 days, you're going to keep doing it 5 times a day. And that's going to rearrange your consciousness in a way that is going to bring about a realignment and to change the energy signature underneath it and to put you into a different universe where that doesn't exist anymore except for in its perfected state. And no, I'm not making this up. One day, science will catch up to the Bible. In fact, it already has. But the Bible is so simple. But let's prove it. Let's not just sit and talk about it. Let's do it. Here's the deal. The problem you think you have, think about the problem within that thing you wrote down. The problem is, it is not it. Snap your fingers. Say, no, it is not it. I will not engage my doubting mind. Boom. Good. Now close your eyes. Relax. Like you're floating in a pool of water. Let your body go. Calm your breathing down. Lengthen the exhale. Go to a place of peace in your heart. Rest in a place of peace. I like to imagine myself right here on the beach. This is my heaven right here. I walk through heaven every single minute. Now do it. Go to your heaven. Go there. Stay there. You got to stay there for at least 20 seconds. You're calibrating to the consciousness of allowing. Surrender itself. Good. Now I want you to mentally project out into the future. You've already overcome this. You're already having the solution to it. You are being the solution in the end, living from the end, demonstrating through your soul sense capacity, your ability to reason in your imagination. How does it feel to be in the overcoming position? How does it look to have already received the miracle? How does it sound? How does it taste to win? See, activate your spiritual senses and then attach your senses to that outcome. Identify with those senses. Stay with it. You have to stay with it for 57 seconds to 3 minutes. Stay with it. You're looking back on how grateful you are. It's already established. You're activating your spiritual senses and attaching to them. That's where you live now. That's where you're dwelling. You're moving pure awareness itself into a new dwelling, which is going to form you in a new body that lives in this universe. And then you will emerge falling asleep into that dream. Now, this is your structure, and you're going to revisit it an additional 4 times today. But each time you're going to add a little spice to it. You're going to play your favorite song, the one that brings you the most joy. And you're going to take that song and you're going to use it to activate a new emotional state. And that new emotional state is going to anchor you into that reality construct. Because once the emotion and the thought
come together, they birth the new realm. And that is where your pure awareness will fall asleep in the dream and you will be alive in that experience. That will be your new holographic construct. As you program this for the next 3 to 5 days, you're literally engineering yourself to fall asleep in that parallel world where it is already established. And when you get there, your job is to notice the differences. You can come out of trance. The technique is over. Now we're going to talk about how you're going to stay with it. So as you are dwelling in truth, you are going to walk as if it is already true between your ABC break sets. So when you come out of this meditation, you must, for the next 3 to 5 days, act the role of the one that you are connecting to on the other side. The senses, the imagining, the experiences, you must walk from it into this realm because you are the source. And see, as you walk into it, into this realm, you start to plant seeds in the winter season. Out here is the winter season. It's barren, even on the Sabbath day of rest. It means there's no life, truth, or intelligence in the outer realm. It's an empty carcass. So as you take the new wine, the new consciousness that you just tapped into, and you begin to put those seeds, as the Gnostics say, you are planting in the winter season, and you shall reap in the summer season. And as you reap in the summer season, it means that your consciousness changes over. What they would call your unconscious mind takes hold of this, and it becomes the new set point. It becomes the new Jerusalem. It becomes the Holy One of Israel, demonstrating the Christ, the power of Christ that you are, the one that has already overcome the world. What do you think it means that Christ already overcame the world? It means exactly what I just showed you. It's not just a lip service about a dude from 3,000 years ago. It's about Christ, you, Christ, within you, literally right now, overcoming the world and walking in the new dimensions. This is a masterclass. I'm not here to dabble with human theories. I show you divine law. Now, with that said, go to my website, malcolmkingley.com. It is the most potent website on the planet for demonstrating divine law in the same way that Christ taught. And no, that's not because I said so. It's because the truth packed and contained in there is put in a way that, according to my knowledge, nobody else is doing it like this, which, good for them. Keep doing it the old way. Keep doing it in a way that doesn't fit the model of today, and let your religion crumble into the ground. I don't care. Because religion is not what this is about. It's about real-time transformation. And the website, malcolmkingley.com, is a portal to work in real-time transformation day in and day out. And I just completed the Divine Law Master Academy, which, guess what? You don't have to go to school for 16 years to master this. You don't have to read 3,000 books. I made it that is in a way that anybody of even a remotely average IQ can engage with this and demonstrate from day one. The impossible is now possible. Thank you, AI, for being as intelligent as you are so that I can work with you and turn you into my slave and turn you to the people that I'm going to free through you. And that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm using AI to decouple you from the very thing that they intended AI to do to you. I'm using that very technology to uncouple you ahead of time before that even comes. We're going to front run the whole thing. And it's not going to take long at all. And it begins with your ABC break process, your consciousness engineering. Now, what I would recommend is you go through the library and read all 5 books that I put up there for you. And don't worry, they're written for the modern times. They're like 30 to 50 pages long. They're simple stuff. Because I know you're not going to read a 500-page book. You shouldn't have to. You're busy. You got a lot of stuff going on. You don't got time to sit here and gobble books from the 1800s like day in and day out. Nobody's got that kind of time. And when you start using the apps developed, you're going to be able to advance more rapidly than even if you would have to sit around and do all that other old school stuff. Because you don't need to do that anymore. That's old technology. Welcome to the new technology. Welcome to the new church. Welcome to the church of getting it done today. Welcome to the church of we get the results. Welcome to the church of, yeah, I showed up, I transformed, end of story. That's the type of church you're looking for, isn't it? Well, welcome. Welcome to the church right here. Go to malcolmkingley.com. That's your new church home. You're going to love it. It's going to transform everything for you. I know it will. I've been using it for months before I even decided to release it. I knew exactly what was coming through a prophetic word years and years ago. This lady told me years ago I was going to solve the unsolvable and I was going to be a modern day Paul and I was going to do this and that. And at first I was like, yeah, whatever, didn't believe none of it, but it all came to pass, including everything I'd have to go through. And I had to become a disaster first and then become the Christ within, the master to rise out of it. And now I have the technology at my disposal, and so do you, to teach you how to put an end to all of these so-called human troubles. And one by one, you're going to just knock them right off the board. Just knock them right off the board. Because the power of truth itself does it. Power of truth doesn't have an opponent worthy. You're dealing with an unfair advantage. Isn't it about time that you deal with the cards stacked in your favor? Isn't it time that you start having all the advantages in life? I built that hub for you. I built it for me, but I'm sharing it with you, okay? Because that's my mission. It's my life assignment. Now, I told you I was going to tell you some secret, right? I waited till the end. The quickest and most surest way to transform, and it happens every single time, and I've done it every single time, is when you sing him a new song. Praise. Sing him a new song. I can't get into all the dynamics of why that works, but when you sing him a new song and you make music, and you sing from your heart to God, and you praise him for what he's already done, not for what you're struggling through, but for what he's already done, and you praise him for it, it's basically what every psalm is. And the psalms are the most potent, transformational pieces in existence. So with that said, I think that's all I'm going to give you for right now. One step at a time. Thanks for coming on board. Welcome to your new church home. This is the quantum church you've been looking for. Church just went quantum, ahead of AI. And it's using AI as its slave. And that's where we're at right now.